Alright, we're going to take a look at some extreme Ajax here. We're going to do the live search again, but this time we're not going to use a database, and we're going to do the whole thing completely in Ajax. And again, this is no database. This is going to do the same state searching thing. Basically, the idea is if I type in a state here, I'm going to type in A, it's going to kind of give me a list of states to choose from. You can see the colors changing. I can click on them and it'll fill it in. It automatically takes what I type in and converts it to capital letters because PayPal needs capital letters. So if I type in O, I get these O's right here, Ohio, and I can click on them and it gives me that. So how does this work? I was going to do this from scratch for you guys, but I can't because I tried to do it and it took me 25 minutes. So that's way too long for YouTube. I have to become something else. So basically, here's how the setup is. This is the table data cell right here. That is where you start typing. Okay. The size is 3. The max length is 2. So you can't type too much. When you key up, it calls this function and sends it the value that you're typing. When you blur, which is clicking away from it, when you lose focus, it fades out that div. Okay. So I don't think I showed you that, but if I type in A and then I click away, the div fades away. Okay, so you need to have that. So that's the event listeners there. So now we also have down here, we have this this state drop-down box. That's in another table data cell lower. It's a UL that we're going to put all of our stuff in, but the UL is in a div. Now the div is positioned relative and the UL is positioned absolute. That way, the problem with doing it without doing that is that if this list gets long, if this was not absolutely positioned, it would push all these elements down because we're using a table. It would push all that down. Okay, we don't want that to happen. We want this to float on top of everything. So to do that, we position it absolutely. Okay, and to do that, we have to position its parent element relative so that it's still in the same spot. Okay. So what we need to do now is take a look at the JavaScript behind it. So Ajax state is the function that we called. We sent it the partial state. First thing we do is we ensure that it's capital letters. We first select the state. We set its value to exactly what you typed in to uppercase. That means everything you type in, it converts it to uppercase for you. Okay? Then we call an Ajax function. Again, we set the task. As I said before in the other video, we have an Ajax script that has a switch statement that I have all my Ajax in one file, and it just takes whatever task you send it, and that's the Ajax that it does. So we're sending an Ajax state, and we're also sending it that partial state. What we get back from that function is a bunch of LIs, and we need to take those LIs and put them in the data. Now we also have to fade this in because if we're fading it out, we have to make sure that it's in when we get here. Okay, it may not always be out, but sometimes it is, and we need to fade it in. And this line just sets the data to that to the div UL, right? Then we add a click action to each LI. As you saw, when I clicked it, it set it. So what we do is we select it, and then we grab this equals the LI, and I'm going to set a fake attribute. The fake attribute that I'm going to set is the 2-letter abbreviation. As you saw when I was typing, it showed the whole word, but what needs to be there is the 2-letter abbreviation. So I'm going to set that by setting it to an attribute of the LI. I'll show you in a second. And then when you click on one of them, I want the whole thing to fade out. So I don't want the states to still be there. If you've clicked one, you're moving on. So let's look at Ajax state in here. Now Ajax state, if I can find it, here we go. Ajax state. First we check if the array of states is in our session. If it's not, we call this function. What this function is just a PHP array of states. Okay, see that? A whole array of states where each key is the 2-letter abbreviation and each value is the name. Okay, that's all that does, and it stores all that whole array in the session array in states. Okay, that way we can grab it wherever we are. So now what we need to do is, so after we get all the states, we make sure it's uppercase. Again, we just make sure that what we're using is uppercase because we need to match letters here. We set our found states. Basically, we're going to form a giant string of LI elements. So we're going to form that into this variable here. Now, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. If you look down here at what I have commented out, This is the wrong way. The reason this is wrong, and I'll get rid of these so you can see the color highlighting. This finds the string position of whatever you're typing anywhere in the state. So if I type in M, Alabama comes up, and that shouldn't be. If I type in M, all the states that start with M should show up. Okay? So the way we fix that problem is we actually substring, okay? We actually substring the state to the starting character to the length of how much you typed in. For example, if we're looking for Alabama, and I typed in ALA, so I type in ALA. If I type in, actually it would only do AL because it's only 2 letters you can type in. So I type in AL, and it would actually show in as that, okay? Then I know that the length of this is 2. So this is substringing state to 2, so now it's that, okay? And then it's counting from 0. So it's going to match from AL, it's going to match AL. You see how that's kind of working? I'm substringing from the beginning to the length of the word I'm typing in. That way, I get the beginning of the word, okay? Now, so I grab that, and that's going to be equal to part match. So if part match, which would be AL equals AL, which is if if it equals each other, then I'm going to add this, li. Now again, I'm adding that fake attribute, which would be the abbreviation, and that's going to be our key. So in our for loop, in our for each loop, as key, that's the array key, and this is the state. So here's the key and here's the state. That way we can grab it later. Then we echo the whole thing out. Okay? Now, so that way when we do it, now the only other thing to show you is the CSS behind it. I already explained it, but we set the div to relative, and we set the UL to absolute. We position it on top, and we kind of move it around a little bit, and we set these to a pointer, and we give it a color when you hover over them. So now, it's pretty straightforward. When I type in A, it's matching from the 0th character A on, and it found all the ones that start with A. I type in L, it found these two, and then when I click on one, it fills it in. And if I click on the other one, see how it faded in? AL, if I click on Alaska, then it's AK. And there you go.